Hello there! Now that the camera's in focus, we won't be needing this head. But you probably weren't expecting to see me today because tomorrow is my birthday and originally I was going to have the week off. By the way, if you aren't aware, don't forget to join us live tomorrow as LEGO are going live themselves and announcing all of the May 4th stuff from giveaway purchase, giveaways and all the LEGO sets we can expect to get, which we have admittedly already seen, but it's going to be fun to sit and talk with you again. Tomorrow's stream is going live a little earlier, 3 hours earlier than our regular 7 PM starts here in the UK. So hopefully a few of you can join us. But today's video is about a brand new store that I've seen near me, and I've actually made a little purchase, which I'm going to justify towards the end of this video. But before we get to that, when we took a look at the U-Wing official images, which is definitely a day one pickup for me, I tried my hand at a few German phrases. Für die Shooter ab, I'm assuming is flick fire missiles. As you can see, that didn't go too well, but I have been given another one to redeem myself. Thanks to Kazvis, who left the comment, Das war alles nur Vermutung und das meiste davon war falsch, which loosely, very loosely translate, I had to Google this one to find out, translates to that was all speculation and most of it was false. Which, let's be honest, I might not be as fluent in German as I might think. But back to Argosy, which is the topic of today's video. As soon as I stepped in, I knew I was gonna love the place. They had a toy train, well, a model train, should I say, going around the top of the first floor. Yes, first floor. Argosy has 2 floors and all the Legos on the top one. They also had a massive N1 ship, which I'm not quite sure was for sale, and if it was, I don't think I would have the money right now, or the space, let alone the money, to put this anywhere in my room, but between this and the train, immediately I knew this was the place for me. They also had a little microfighter of the bigger version, which I thought was so cute next to it. If you would like to skip forward to the Lego and the Funkos actually as well, which we do look at before the Lego, jump to the timestamp on screen now. But before we get to that, they had some mini brands, which my fiance absolutely loves, and also some Lego mini brands, which looked really fun and price-wise weren't too bad considering you were getting 2 flowers or a pretty sizable build. There was also some stretchy Star Wars figures, which I'm not too interested in, but I almost picked up Jabba the Hutt. I think that's the perfect character to have as one of those stretchy figures that you can just imagine Jabba stretching the whole way across the room. So this isn't a Lego or a Funko store. This is a toy store that does a lot of trade-in second-hand. And the reason I was visiting this is because going towards Southend, it's not too far. It's round about Leigh-on-Sea for anyone that lives near the area. We've seen this shop, which is bright blue, and from the outside, they've got Lego posters in the windows and so many toys out front. I actually didn't notice this tub of Lego that was selling for £10 until we'd walked away, so I'm not quite sure if there were any hidden stills inside. We've gone past this time and time again, and we finally stopped off on the way back today and decided we're gonna have a little look at what's in store. I wasn't planning on picking up anything. As you can see, that hasn't been the case. Moving on to the first floor now, or second floor, the non-ground floor, we start off with the Funkos, and this is literally the view as you reach the top of the stairs. There are so many Funkos, and each of these shelves are like 3-4 Funkos deep. They're not all the same Funko. Because this isn't a regular retail store, mind you, Game, HMV, Smiths never have the same Funko behind another Funko. But each of these Funkos are completely different to the others, and they go back stretching years. I'm sure some of these Funkos were easily 10-20 years, if not even older than that. And I did see quite a few. I've been wanting to complete my solo collection of Funko Pops. I'm missing a Han, I'm missing a Lando, and I'm missing Dryden Voss. And the Mud Trooper, though that number technically is held by another Funko, so I'm not fussed about picking that one up. These Funkos were pretty much half the floor. It was half Funkos, half Lego, and then a few other model builders. Actually, I guess you could say it looked a little bit like this room. I did have my eye on a Lando and a Han Funko Pop. I think the Han, I could probably try to haggle down a price elsewhere, but you have to stay to the end to see which Funko Pop I actually picked up. Right next to the Funkos, there were these Lego fun bags, which were tempting. There was one of the bags with like 5 Minecraft minifigures that I almost picked up, but they didn't have any Lego Star Wars ones. I think if they had one with even just one Lego Star Wars minifigure, I'd have been tempted to pick it up to see if there were any other printed pieces or fairly exclusive pieces that you could pick up as part of a bundle. I think this is a great idea. I do love a mystery bag, and if we'd stayed there any longer, I think that big bag might have been coming home with us. As far as sets, they had a lot of the newer ones, which, you know, we've seen time and time before, so I'm not going to go over them. But some of the older sets were really, really old. And we also saw these 2 boxes in new, sealed, almost mint condition. I guess the boxes were a bit worn, but it means the bricks inside and the minifigures. We're looking at Plo Koon, who's coming in a microfighter later this year. We're looking at a Sarge Ventress and Clone Wars Kenobi, who are both coming in a V19 to rent, not to rent, torrent, later on this year. But something that really caught my eye, besides the giant gunship and the Hellfire droid, which, picking both up with some of the other ships there, you could definitely build a Clone Wars army if you had a few grand to spare. They also had the gift with purchase from a few years back, Aunt Beru's Kitchen, which, if it had any exclusive parts, I guess the torso is kind of exclusive. Torsos are so easy to decal on your own. I don't think I'd be paying £25 for it. They had a fully built Grogu in the hovering pram, which I think was a trade-in that someone had given, but it was really nice to see it built in person, because though the images on lego.com and the other images you see make it look quite a bit smaller than the original one, it's not actually that much smaller considering the little difference in price. Of course, we're getting the pram, which does take most of the parts for this set, and means it is going to be a bit more expensive. One set that I still haven't picked up from this year is the Arc 170, which I'm planning to pick up May 4th. Who knows, I might pick it up earlier if there is a discount, but it would really help to go towards my May 4th gift with purchase. And Argosy Toys had the original Arc. Well, I'm pretty sure this is the original Arc. I think we've only got it one other time. The Kit Fisto minifigure is missing from the set. There was at least one of the pilots. I don't know if they were all there, but this Arc 170 did look pretty cool. We are going to be discussing this. Now that I've had a close look at it, we're going to be able to do a comparison when I pick up the official set, which, let's be honest, it's only a matter of time before I cave in. They also had, speaking of V19 to rent, they also had a poly bag of it, which I thought was very fitting considering we're meant to be getting set later this year, though I wasn't as tempted to pick this one up. The 2 stickered, I don't think they're printed tiles. If they are printed tiles, I'm going to regret not picking it up, but I'm pretty sure they're stickered tiles. Didn't convince me to pick this up, but they did have this Ninjago set, which reminds me of a lot of the new ones. I don't follow Ninjago anywhere near closely enough, so I don't know if this is fairly new, but it definitely reminds me of the Dragon Waterfall and some of the other sets rumoured for later this year. Like with a usual LEGO store, they had a pick-a-brick wall, which was considerably smaller. Of course, it's a much smaller store and probably doesn't have as much LEGO come and go in loose pieces compared to an actual LEGO store. But there were some really nice pieces. We're talking TIE Fighter cockpits, Mirror of Erised stickered panels with the old Harry Potter sets, some unique Friends bricks, and even a giant Duplo Christmas anniversary brick. So there are some really nice bricks to pick up. Their Builder minifigure selection was, I'm gonna say, probably bigger than Legos, because this wasn't all their minifigures, this was just most of the bulk sorted out from tubs that had been donated. But they didn't just have minifigures, but mini dolls. We even saw a TIE Pilot helmet, so I'm sure if we dug around for a few more hours, we would have found some other cool Star Wars parts. I think the helmet was fairly old. There was some unique alien head molds, some different space gear in the mix of this. So when we do head back to this store, because there are definitely a few sales that I'd love to pick up in the future, I think I'll have to search through and see if we can build any custom minifigures for an upcoming mock. Captain Rex, who is the unofficial mascot of this channel because of the big fig we created using the Rex helmet last year, had his helmet here for like half price, which is surprising. It was built, it was a bit dusty and probably wasn't in perfect condition, but it did seem in pretty great condition, and considering these helmets retailed for £50–60, I don't think half price is too bad an asking price. We also saw sets like the Pisana Chase from The Rise of Skywalker. Hold on, wait a second, they fly now? I think we all know the scene that I'm talking about, and there are a few other non-Star Wars, not just Star Wars, a few special sets, like a birthday cake build that I was so tempted to pick up for my birthday tomorrow, but I know I'm going to break that down straight away, so I might just find the instructions. The other May 4th gift with purchase that they had is next to this shuttle Tidarium, which has a really cool printed slope, but the X-Wing is made to mimic Vader's targeting computer in A New Hope, where he tries to lock on to Red 5, which, unknown to him, is piloted by his son, Luke Skywalker. I think this feature is hours of fun, and the reason I didn't pick this up, it was in pretty good condition, not a lot of wear even to the box, let alone the coin inside, is because my R2-D2 keyring from last year is sat in its box right there on the shelf, and they're just not something I personally display. I had to take a second look, but I did find Luke's mech. We'll get back to that later. There was also a few other promotional items and a Funko in amidst all the Lego, which I believe is actually from the Town line. It's not part of the Star Wars sets. Yoda in his hut is from Funko Houses or Funko Town. So if you're not following along with other Funko lines, maybe there's a few Star Wars ones you're missing out on. Next to Dio, we had quite a few of the brickheads, including the Kenobi series Kenobi, which personally I still think should have replaced Padme or Rey in the Revenge of the Sith pack coming out in May. But taking a look at it in person, there's not too much you'd have to change to fit this in. In fact, the brickheads itself fits perfectly in with those other 5 without Lego having to sell you another Kenobi. For those of you that do collect the brickheads, I'm not a massive fan. You probably have Kenobi already, so I can see why Lego left him out. And for those of you that don't, I think paying £10, some of these were a little pricier, but £10 for a brickheads isn't half bad, so definitely keep your eyes out for a store like this near you. I almost completely missed this polybag section if it wasn't for my partner pointing it out, and they did have some of the magazine bags. None of the minifigures there, though. I have to keep my eye out for future magazines if there's some clones or something that I can army build. I wonder if they do get them in. But they did have quite a nice array of polybags, a lot of the newer ones, and there were also some bags of minifigures just at the bottom of the shelf, which I do think I forgot to record, but a lot of them were custom and knockoff figures and not official Lego. Though that being said, there were quite a few bundles of official Lego minifigures that I think we're going for quite a good price. If you're into restoration, check out these 2 Lambda shuttles. This right one's a much newer version, but on the left, we've got a classic shuttle Tidarium. First off, that Palpatine face is something. I don't really know what's up with it. It's just a bit creepy to look at, but the UV damage to this Lego set, it's a white Lego set. White elements do get hurt by the sun a lot more than other bricks. So this is quite an exaggeration, probably like 10 years of windowsill sunlight being absorbed into those bricks. Right at the top of the shelf, we see yet another gunship, which is different to the last one. And I had quite a bit of fun talking about all the play features in this. For 60 quid, it's just a shame there were no minifigures in there. I think if this was listed for 60 quid with all the minifigures, I would have walked out the store with a much bigger bag than this. I'm not sure if this is part of the set, but it also had a different nose print on the other side of the ship. And there was also a Luke Skywalker keyring with the UCS arms and legs pulled off, which looks exactly like the one behind me. And even though this figure is, what, a year old? Did this come out May 4th last year? I will be picking up a few more of these to do the exact same with my other pilots. Before we left, we noticed on the till there was not just 2 base plates on the actual desk of minifigures, custom minifigures, the likes that you'll see me getting from Filoni clones, but also some units in the back, though I will admit they did have a lot of duplicate minifigures, so I only took clips of the videos in front. A few characters to make note of. There was an Imperial Cody, which I'm noticing now is not on the base plate, but the Imperial Cody looked just as good as most of the customs I've got on this wall. And there was also a Rick the Door Technician. We were only speaking about that recently in live streams, and someone left a comment as well on one of the videos. But that has been Argosy Toys. Now for the fun part. What did I pick up? Well, there were a few things I was eyeing up, and I said no Lego purchases in April. I promised you at the start of the year, January we'd be buying Lego, February not, March we'd be buying, April we would wait and build up to May. And that's a pattern. I don't really remember why this was decided. I think I was just buying a lot of Lego at the time and wasn't even making videos on everything. So it's a way to slow down and hit May, July, all the important release dates, and even get to pick up Lego for Black Friday, which, you know, there's going to be a ton of these sets on sale. So we're going to start off with the Funko that I picked up. You saw me have 2 of the Solo Funkos in hand, and I do think I could probably get Han Solo a little cheaper. The boxes weren't badly damaged whatsoever. They were in really good condition. As someone who is an out-of-the-box collector, despite all my Funkos being in their box because I don't have the shelf space to display them yet, I'm not really fussed about boxes. So we have here the exclusive Lando Calrissian for $4.99. That's a pretty decent price. And now I'm only missing 2 Funkos, one of which I know they had. Well, I know they had earlier today. Whether that sells or not, I'll have to keep an eye on that. But I'm happy to have this Lando. I think this shirt, loose tie, and the cape is a really snazzy outfit. Happy they made this into Funko. And I might have to go through and make some costumes like this from Star Wars into actual minifigures. Because especially this Lando would have made an awesome exclusive minifigure to get, as opposed to the Kessel Mining Droid and also the Mud Trooper Han, both of which are a lot easier to put into sets, though saying that, you could say this figure should have come with a Falcon at the time. Actually, I'm gonna have to double check that this minifigure doesn't already exist. But now on to Lego. I did order, members will know, I was ordering a bit of Lego throughout March, and a lot of it was secondhand. And I had ordered a White Rabbit, which was pretty cheap, but after waiting for so long, my first offer was rejected, and then they just waited out the time with it. So I ended up getting refunded, which meant I had a little bit of money to spend, technically from the end of March. That is how we're gonna justify it. It's my birthday tomorrow. I'm gonna let this one slide. But I ended up picking up Luke Skywalker's X-Wing mech. Again, it's a set I haven't picked up. I think the reason I haven't picked this up is because of the minifigure. So many Luke Skywalkers. If this had come perhaps with a TIE pilot as well to be the opposing side, which is something, by the way, I think all of these mechs should have. The Marvel mechs have 2 characters. Luke has a bit of an extra build on the back, which is really nice to see, but it's probably more expensive anyway. I think this definitely should have come with some sort of TIE pilot. You never get enough TIE pilots, but I ended up picking up Luke's mech for $4.99. All the pieces are here except for Luke Skywalker and his lightsaber. Thankfully, I have a drawer full of lightsabers, and I also have that Luke Skywalker minifigure I've added the UCS legs and arms to, as did everyone that picked up this set. And that's actually the reason the UCS Luke Skywalker is one of the cheapest UCS minifigures you can get, because this set plus the keyring was less than like 20 quid, so you can easily pick up a minifigure going for a bit less than that. Having picked this up, I also realized there are a few exclusive parts. I believe I have somewhat built this before. The version I built before was half Luke's X-Wing and half Stormtrooper. And able to compare the 2 of them, we mashed them together, and it meant I didn't need some of the exclusive parts. For instance, the lightsaber, I used a blue, I think it was Jyn Erso's buildable figure, blue blaster bolt, instead of the lightsaber blade. So now we've got that. The front of the torso, because it was split between Luke and a Stormtrooper, well, it meant that I just covered it probably with a 2x4 white tile. We've now got that Rebel logo, which is exclusive to this set, despite me having the same thing in blue from an old Imperial Attack on Hoth. Another element that is quite rare, and probably one of the only other pieces I don't own, is this white Technic piece on the back. I've got a few of them in grey from different City Space sets, but in white, I'm not sure how many other sets it's come in. And then these 1x1 yellow studs. I don't have enough to build the whole set, only half, which is what inspired that video in the first place. So I'm counting this as my, I guess, Easter bunny. Maybe we should add some bunny ears to it and make Luke fit in just a little bit more with this spring season. But these, if you ask me, were both steals. Picking this up for almost a third of its retail price. I think it retails for about £13 here in the UK, and I haven't actually seen that on too many sales. I know Vader, Boba have both been on a lot of 2 for 20s. Luke, I haven't seen, so picking this up for a £5, you can't be happier than when you get cheap Lego. And also Lando's gonna have to try and fit in the Funko wall somewhere, and I'll be honest, I'm probably gonna put him on the shelf behind me and work that into another day. I will have to wash this Lego. I probably won't do another video on that. You've seen the progress if you are a member on the channel. But if you would like to see more content like this, where we go shopping around for some Lego steals and Lego deals, drop a like on this video. May 4th is coming up, and though we're placing an order online, I'll still be intrigued to see which stores near me have some really nice discounts. So stay tuned for more. That is all today. May the bricks be with you always.